Hey man, it's Chilly Billy Howell. It's a beautiful Monday on the moon. Anyway, thoughts today. Let's see what we're going to talk about. Madge told me just to talk. I guess we were watching a sermon on TV yesterday, Grace Episcopal Church in Monroe. I go down every year. This will be my 5th year to go down for the River Paddle Challenge. And we met the pastor, the padre, the rector, Don Smith there. And so we occasionally on Sundays watch the service and his sermons, and they're always fabulous, so insightful. And the beautiful thing is they always draw on Scripture. They are relevant to the times we live in, and there's an unction there to follow the Scriptures without being preachy, but always pithy and just straight to the point. And they never last over 15 to about 17 minutes, which is a blessing, because the more pastors talk, often a lot of them just want to hear themselves. Not all of them, but some. And even if they had a good point, it gets lost by the time you get inundated with too much information. So, too much information is like too much inflammation. It can cause problems. But anyway, Don Smith's awesome. So we were watching his sermon, and kind of my takeaway was that in the Episcopal liturgy, and he was filtered it into his sermon about just kind of what is our duty and what is the duty of man. And anyway, but my takeaway is, Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart help me to find out what is my duty. And that's specifically, we know the duty of man from Scripture is to love God and love our fellow man. In fact, that's a summation of the law and prophets, and everything is summed up in loving God and loving our fellow man. But how to do that, and particularly in a complicated technological world where we're bombarded every time we pick up that stupid iPhone or smartphone and TV, and just we are so overwhelmed with information. And it's just hard sometimes to know what is our duty, and particularly in this ugly culture where if you disagree with somebody, you get an ad hominem attack against you. And so it's just hard, and that's kind of been my cry for a long time. Lord, help me know what is my duty. But I also kind of say it, but do I really mean it? And it kind of reminds me of the old Catholic joke about the Pope had a bad heart, and so he was in St. Peter's Square there, and he said he was going to drop a feather, and whatever faithful parishioner it landed on, they would give him his heart. So he dropped the feather, and so many of the Italians down there would go, "Take of my heart, take of my heart," and kind of blow the feather over to the next fellow. I'm a lot like that. I say a lot of things to the Lord, but do I really mean them? So I do want to find out what is my duty. But on a kind of a different note today, a friend of mine, Robert Payne from the coast, sent me a message on Facebook, and it was a great, just really short clip of one of my favorite authors, Pat Conroy, talking at the White House years ago. And Pat's dead now, but he wrote some really incredible books. Read Great Santini, the sequel to that, Beach Music, The Prince of Tides. And I read a book a few years ago, and I may get the title wrong, but it was called My Reading Life, just about how much his mother had influenced his reading. And I remember a few years ago when Madge was having our home concerts that were so cool at the Clarksdale White House. We had several Grammy-winning classical musicians play in the living room. And I remember Caleb Elliott had told us when he was staying with us, he was a cello player, that he had talked to Travis Meadows, another incredible musician, and just asked him, as far as songwritings, what do I need to do? And Travis Meadows said, read a lot. So I come from a heritage of readers. My mom reads some. My grandmother on her side really helped inculcate the love of reading in me. My dad was a reader. My oldest two daughters I know for sure are readers. And I just love reading. But so anyway, in this short clip by Pat Conroy, he was talking about how his mother had influenced his reading and how she used to read to him and his sister. Now, his dad was kind of he was, I think, a naval airman, and he was the prototype for the great Santini. And if you saw the movie or read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. So the mom kind of really made sure he was nurtured. And so the first book she ever read to both of them, she'd read every night, it was Gone with the Wind. And then when she read the Diary of Anne Frank, they were just enthralled. And Pat Conroy said everybody his age was in love with Anne Frank when they read the diary, and the picture of her was so cute. But when the book ended abruptly, they were just astonished, he and his sister. And they were like, the sister was like, why would anybody kill Anne Frank? And didn't they read her diary? Now, if they had, they might not have. But the mom had to explain to 6 and 7-year-old children about concentration camps and cattle cars. And so anyway, this is powerful. Pat Conroy's mother told him that she wanted to raise a family that hid Jews. Wow. So the next day, Miss Conroy was taking the kids next door to visit a neighbor who happened to be Jewish. They knocked on the door. The lady answered the door. And the little Conroy girl, Pat's sister, said, looked at her and said, "We will hide you." And she says, "What?" Anyway, it just shows that she was going to put into action what she heard. She knew she was Jewish, so she was going to let her know she'd hide her. That's the simplicity of the faith that we as Christians are supposed to have. I mean, Jesus said we can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless we come like a little child. So it's that balance in Scripture that says we've got to be wise as serpents but innocent as doves. And I'm going to tell you, it's what I want to be, it's what I want to do, but I got so much Mississippi redneck in me. It's like I always say, we'll just as quick invite you in to have dinner with a mama, and we'll just as quick whip your ass if you disrespect us. And that ain't something I'm proud of, but it's something that's part of me, and I got to work on that a bit. Anyway, cheers. Y'all have a great day. If you ever get a chance, read the Bible and read Pat Conroy. Powerful, powerful, powerful.